Good morning, and welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour, we here are one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship, hymn number 207, Earth Was Given as a Garden.
We are singing this tune to a tune that is different from your usual that you'll find in your hymnal, so feel free to just rely on the words on the screen, and Brian and I will lead you through the melody. Earth was given as a garden, cradle for humanity, tree of life and tree of knowledge, place for our discovery. Here was home for all your creatures, born of land and sky and sea, all created in your image, all to live in harmony. Show to us again the garden where all life flows fresh and free. Gently guide your sons and daughters into full maturity. Teach us how to trust each other, how to use for good our power, how to touch the earth with reverence, then once more will Eden flower. Bless the earth for all your children, one creation make us whole, interwoven, all connected, planet-wide and inmost soul. Holy Mother, life bestowing, bid our waste and warfare cease. Fill us with grace o'erflowing, teach us how to live in peace.
That was a great start to our Sunday morning here. My name is Kim Stewart, and I use she, her pronouns. I have long hair, a black dress. I'm wearing a black dress and a green sweater. I joined KUF about 7 years ago, and I found KUF by Googling it. So I had recently moved here from North Dakota, and just as I was departing North Dakota, I found out a few of my favorite people were secretly UUs. And so I thought I needed to find out more about this when I arrived in my new home. Our guest speaker this morning is Reverend Linda Hart. Reverend Hart comes to us from Olympia and is recently retired after 40 years in ministry. We're glad to have her back with us this morning. If you're visiting today, please participate as you feel comfortable. If you're here in person, fidget toys and a rocking chair are available for wiggles and sensory needs. And we have assistive listening systems available. If you need one, please see one of our ushers. You're also invited to stay and meet people during coffee hour, those secret UUs. We're out there. If you're visiting today, please participate. Continue to participate as you feel comfortable. Many members of the congregation attend online as well. If you're visiting online today, you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. We hope that you'll stay after the service for our Sunday events. In the sanctuary, we'll have several speakers talking about legislative actions, a history of our solar array, and words from Rabbi Emily Melcher. Outside, activities for children include art with sun-sensitive paper and solar-powered bubbles. And we will have an electric car showcase. More announcements about KUF Fellowship activities are available in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. You can sign up on our website or in the foyer if you'd like to receive that. Let's now take a moment to silence any electronic devices that you don't need to be monitoring for the next hour. Please join me in taking a few centering breaths. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. We welcome Harper Shepherd to come up and light our chalice. Harper is in 3rd grade and loves all things animals. Join me now in lighting our chalice. If you have your own chalice or candle at home, please light it as I share our chalice lighting words by Gary Kowalski. We kindle this flame to the energy of life that shines in every corner of creation. One light, one love, one spirit, one world, with peace for everyone. Please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. The lyrics for this hymn were written by Paul Winter's album, Misa Gaia, meaning Earth Mass.
Hello. This morning I am wearing all black. Black sleeveless top, black sleeveless cardigan, and I have freshly refreshed red hair. The theme this month is belonging, and there are a lot of activities that happen in this fellowship to show belonging. We have an LGP, ABC. We have a queer potluck group that meets regularly. We have a grief group. We have chalice circles. We have all kinds of ways to join in together. And one of our very active committees is the Social Justice Committee. And as was mentioned, they have a large planned event after the service today. And this book and story this morning has to do with solar power. It is called Solar Story by Alan Drummond. It's a long, hot, and dusty walk to school. The sun shines down on us nearly every day. Sun and more sun. Sometimes it seems like that's the only thing going on here. We live in Morocco, right there in the top left-hand corner of the map of Africa. The windows on my side of our classroom look out at the high Atlas Mountains. Sometimes a cool breeze blows in, but on the other side, the Sahara Desert begins. Nothing but millions of square miles of rocks and sand and hot sunshine, all the way across North Africa. The desert landscape around Gazette, our home, has looked the same for a very long time. Our teacher, Miss Abdellam, likes to talk about the big changes that are happening in our world. She also likes asking big questions. Okay, class, solar energy. Do we all know what that means? The heat of the sun. Good. And what is solar power? Making electricity from sunshine. We all know the answers to those big questions. Why? Well, up on the high ground, close to our village, the world's largest solar power plant is under construction. For a few years, we've seen big trucks coming and going. Now, there are new pylons and wires all over, sending electricity far away to where it's needed. Around the plant, there are miles of high safety fences. On the long, hot, dusty walk back from school, we can just see far away men and cranes working on top of what will soon be the world's tallest solar tower. Big changes are happening around us, but at my home, things are much the same. We still have 5 sheep. What's going on, sheep? Bah. And our 2 cows, munch, munch. We still cook on an open fire and bake our own bread. Here's Mr. Mule, Dad's transport. What's going on, Dad? So, if big changes are happening in the world, what is solar power actually doing for us? The next day, Miss Abdellam asks another one of her big questions. Okay, class, sustainability. What does that mean? Being strong and independent? Peace? Peace? Some kids giggle at Nadia's answer. Keeping things going the way they are? Thinking for the future? Not using everything up? Being a good farmer? Miss Abdullah laughs. Good answers, you're all correct, but in different ways. Sustainability means many things. Tonight, I want you all to think about sustainability and write something about it. But first, hoot, the field trip. Field trip? Field trip? Okay, all aboard, let's go. Hey, Salim, what's going on? Our village is hidden away down by a riverbed that flows only in the winter. Most of the year it's dry. There's hardly any water here. We can grow just a few things: palms, almonds, crops to feed the animals. At the top of the hill, there used to be nothing but rocks and stones, sometimes a lizard. Wow, a big lizard. And always the sun is shining down on us. Careful. But now look, there's a huge solar tower, nearly finished. We've got a new bridge over the riverbed. Hello. And a brand new road. Amazing. Everything's amazing up here now, because just ahead is the biggest solar power plant in the world. It's the size of 3,500 soccer fields and contains 660,000 mirrors. Whoa. And nearly complete is the 800-foot-tall solar tower. It's surrounded by thousands of mirrors, each the size of our classroom. They bounce the sun's rays onto the tower. Cool, no, hot. Very hot, says Miss Abdellam. It will be 1,000 degrees at the top, in fact. The mirrors follow the sun as it moves across the sky, like sunflowers. You can see how the giant curved mirrors focus the hot sun onto a glass pipe as big as our bus. Heat from this pipe and from the tower is used to make electricity. At the center of the plat is the control room. Look, there's Naima's mom. Look, there's Mohammed's dad. And at the sunset, the desert dust is cleaned off the mirrors. Okay, class, when you get home, remember your sustainability homework. Come on, Nadia. All that new technology right beside our village. And to think that back at home, we don't even have the internet. Bye. We'll just have to think for ourselves. Let's do our homework together. Now, sustainability. By using the sun, we are not burning precious oil, coal, or gas. Here, the sun shines on us nearly every day. That's sustainability. Maybe one day, with the help of solar power, Morocco won't need to buy oil and coal from other countries to make electricity. That's energy independence, and it's sustainability. But what else is sustainability? And what is the solar plant doing for us right here in our village? Well, there's Yusuf's cousin, Ahmed. When he helped build the plant, he learned how to weld metal. Now he's got his own workshop. He's independent, and he's given jobs to 2 people. I want to learn to weld too. That's sustainability right there. And the solar plant has started a new college in the nearby city. People go there by bus to learn new skills with wood, with cloth, with clay. They hope to get jobs and start businesses themselves. And of course, there will be new jobs at the solar plant. That's sustainability. And the solar plant pays for experts to show our farmers better ways to keep sheep. Now some have a lot more than just 5 sheep. And this will help everyone get through hard times. That's sustainability. Ba ba, say the sheep. Other farmers are learning new ways to grow bigger, better almonds, palms, and olives during the dry summer. We'll be able to grow much more of our own food. That's sustainability. Until recently, the solar plant used our precious water for cleaning the mirrors and for cooling. Now, they use air pressure and electric power from the plant. That's sustainability. We've got a new mobile medical center. It helps us all, including mothers and their babies, to stay healthy. More sustainability. Good night, Nadia. See you in the morning, Jasmine. Miss Abdellam says we will eventually get the internet at school, which we really do need. Education. Even more sustainability. So there is actually a lot happening here. So I hope you join the Social Justice Committee today for all of their activities, learn a little bit more about solar power, see all the cool cars, see some bubbles. Bubbles are always fun.
Thanks so much, Melinda. I love a good educational field trip. It's been a long time. As a religious community, together we can do the work of many. By sharing in the sacred act of giving, we transform gratitude into generosity towards our mission. One way that our mission inspires us to act on our shared UU values is to share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of September is Kitsap Homes of Compassion, a nonprofit working to end homelessness by using existing homes to provide safe and affordable supportive housing. If you would like your offering to go to this month's charitable giving recipient, please use the envelope from inside your order of service. If you need an envelope, please raise your hand and the ushers will bring you one. If you would like your offering to go to KUF, please put it directly in the basket. Instructions on other ways to make your gift, including a QR code, will be on screen. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community with a gift of music from music coordinator Brian Kenny. Please rise in body or in spirit to join me in singing our children up to their classes. The words for May You Go With Joy will appear on the screens. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. Hilda Burlingett writes, "My joy is Roger and I celebrated our 61st wedding anniversary Friday." Melinda Hughes writes, "My joy is my mom is doing better and is back at home. Thank you all for the love and support." Lane Daniel has a sorrow. He writes, "My sorrow is the passing of my brother-in-law, Jack. This was his decision, which is his joy." Thank you, Lane. Lisa Johnson writes, "My joy is for the rain today. May it continue." Andrea Drea Embry-Riddle writes, "My joy is completing facilitator training to lead a new group. Learned a ton, and I am excited to apply my new learning." My family has a joy that yesterday we celebrated my mom's, I still believe, 29th birthday as a family at Vashon Island. We got to take her to see the Troll King, the Bird King troll statue or sculpture. We had a beautiful day with grandkids and kids. I believe she's 29 because then I'm young. She lives in reality mostly. And our final joy is from Chris Ambergary, who writes, "My joy is memories of my sister Monica, who would be 80 today, who died in March this year." Thank you, Chris. And we want light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share.
Good morning, friends. It's such a pleasure to be here and be gazing out at I want to have that view, but I'm grateful for the trees that I can see from here, and what a lovely time it is to be with you. For our pastoral prayer this morning, I'm going to begin with a poem by Denise Levertov called "Love of the Morning," and then share some other words, and then we'll take a few moments of stillness together. I invite you to settle in, as is most your custom, for a time of reflection, contemplation, prayer, whatever suits you, simply being still. I invite you to take a deep in-breath and a slow exhale. The love of morning. It is hard sometimes to drag ourselves back to the love of morning after we've lain in the dark crying out, "Oh God, save us from the horror." God has saved the world for one more day, even with its leaden burden of human evil. We awake to birdsong. And if the sun's gossamer lifts it in its net, the weight of all that is solid, our hearts too are lifted, swung like laughing infants. But on gray mornings, all incident, our own hunger, the dear tasks of continuance, the footsteps before us in the earth's beloved dust, leading the way, all is hard to love again, for we resent a summons that disregards our sloth and this calls us. In the presence of that which breaks our hearts, let us affirm again that we are called to wholeness and health. In the presence of that which is leaden, which drags us from our birthright of song and joy, let us affirm the possibilities that life offers, the blessings of rain and sun, all the goodness that calls us, if only we stop and listen. Let us pause in stillness. So may it be with us all. And as you remain seated, let us join together in singing Spirit of Life, number 123 in the gray hymnal. I have a couple of readings for us this morning. The first comes from James Carse's essay, A Philosopher Needs a Cat. Carse notes in this essay that he never in his growing up met a mystic, but in Wisconsin he was surrounded by the mystical, and especially the migration of birds along the shore of the lake. He writes, There was the lake itself. Are we okay here? Yeah, all right, good. There was the lake itself. The prevailing grayness of the skies merged so perfectly with the water that the horizon vanished, giving the impression of endlessness. But there was no beauty in the infinite. There was something closer to terror in it, especially in March when the slabs of ice had broken away from the shore and they rose and fell with threatening heaviness, like the shoulders of the dead. Even in November, the water was so cold that a swimmer couldn't survive in it for more than a minute or two. Yet through this menacing void passed a relentless river of life, ducks and geese by the millions. Where are they going? South. Where's that? Very, very far from here. How do they know how to find it? They just know. Is this sounding familiar to any of you parents? Why don't they stop here? They know this isn't the South. Do they know this is Milwaukee? Well, no, They don't. Are they lost? No. The last answer always brought a pause in the conversation. The birds don't know where they are, but they aren't lost. They knew where they were going, even if they had never been there before. This is the kind of paradox that can make inquisitive 6-year-olds into dialectical thinkers, that is, truly annoying pests. If the birds aren't lost, but they don't know this is Milwaukee, I wanted to ask, does that mean that we are lost because we do know it's Milwaukee? If as adults we are annoyed by questions like this, it is not because they are unanswerable, but because they evoke even larger questions about the certainties that come with being adults. We know where we are, but are we really so sure we're not lost? A second untitled poem by Gregory Orr. Let us remake the world with words, not frivolously, nor to hide from what we fear, but with purpose. Let's, as Wordsworth said, remove the dust of the custom so that things shine again, each object arrayed in its robe of original light. And then we'll see the world as if for the first time, as once we gazed at the beloved who was gazing at us. Here end our day's readings. Let's join together in a few moments of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music.
We are blessed by every river makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every river feeds our soul,
And we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred worth for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth. We
Every forest makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every forest feeds our soul.
And we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth. We blessed by every ocean. Every ocean makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every ocean feeds our soul. And we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth. And we are called as keepers of the earth. We are called to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth. We are called and our children's children. We are called as keepers of the earth.
Back in 2007, my family and I moved to London, England. It was a fabulous, fabulous time that we had there. A great adventure. And while living there, my husband Peter and I were enormously proud of our accomplishment. You see, our carbon footprint went down tremendously. We went from having 2 cars to having none. We were public transportation people and were very rarely in cars over the 7 years that we lived there. It was a matter of considerable pride that for us that this was the case, given that our little house didn't really have room for one, and also recognizing that they were more rare in England. We didn't have what they called there a tumble dryer, what we would call a dryer. But we had one of those little, multi-thing, but it was early in their development. And so actually the first time we tried to use it, we were like, ooh, it says hi, let's try that. And we did, and Peter's work shirts came out completely, totally wrinkled and plastered to one another. So from there on out, we hung everything in the backyard, except it's like it is here, and it rains a lot, which means that much of the winter we spent with our socks on our radiators and hung across various places in the house, and clothing racks everywhere. But green, 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 that was us. We convinced the church, who owned the house that we lived in, to replace the windows in it and to lay down proper insulation in the attic. We were so very proud of what we had accomplished. And then we moved back to the US. As soon as we arrived home, Peter went out and strung up the clothesline. We had, those metal poles, the old metal poles. He went out and strung that up, and we were like, yeah, we're going to keep this up. This is going to be great. We were really committed to it. We would keep up those habits, and we would only have one car. How hard could it be? Yeah, well, less than 6 months. Less than 6 months later, our dryer had become our standard process for drying our clothes. It became clear almost immediately that we were going to have 2 cars, so we got a second one. Our habits returned to the American standard, and the feeling I had wasn't as much guilt as it was relief. Taking the bus or train everywhere we went when we were in England felt virtuous and in its own way, since it was all we did, normal. But schlepping potluck dishes to the church on crowded buses was not a whole lot of fun. Needing to haul suitcases up long stairs, sets of stairs at the train stations, measuring carefully what we could take anywhere we went was just an absolute pain. Thank the powers that be that a few years after we were there, we discovered grocery delivery. And that meant that we didn't have to take the bus up to Hounslow and then come home with hands aching and rubbed red from the carrier bags that we had to use to lug all of our groceries back home. Being able to save that Saturday morning shop was just immeasurably lovely for us. It was a relief to simply load up my car and go wherever I wanted to go. It was a relief to have a trip to the store take 20 minutes instead of an hour and a half. What a relief not to have to plan carefully about what I needed and where I needed to go. A meeting in downtown London when we were there could easily take me the entire day, even if the meeting was only an hour and a half. And I also loved being able to hop on the tube and get places. But the convenience of a car still is immeasurable. As well, I was and continue to be relieved that I don't have clothes hung around my house for most of the year. As I say, it's gloomy and drizzly. We would always race to get our clothes out in time, if it was sunny, and then, of course, it would start to rain. Just was always the case, right, Peter? I mean, it is easy, and for me, a relief, just to be another American again. Going about my routine life in comfort and more often than not, blocking out any awareness I have of the impact that I have on the rest of the world. Can I get an amen from anyone? And I'm a little relieved to see via Facebook that my colleagues who I admire so much for their work in climate change, for how much they do and the protests they attend and the forums at which they speak, I am relieved when I see that they too are climbing aboard great behemoth airplanes and jetting from one place to another. I'll say that my one colleague that I know of, Fred Small, any of y'all familiar with Fred's music? He's also a UU minister, in case you didn't know that, which is awesome. But Fred made a promise to never fly again, and we were actually, a group of us were trying to get him to come out here to do concerts. And I just found out this week that it's not going to work. He won't get on a plane, so he has to take a train across from Massachusetts, where he lives. And the cost of having a roomette on Amtrak has gone from $2,000 to $3,600, and he can't make the numbers work on a tour, which really makes me sad. But I tell you, all of this, I just am relieved to not have to pay attention. And I ask forgiveness for my relief, and I suspect you might ask forgiveness for yours as well. But the question is, what do we do with that awareness? And at least as importantly, how do we hold on to it and make some sort of difference in the whole swirling mess that is our world right now? Because you see, this all should be so very easy, shouldn't it? I mean, we all get it, right? We get it completely. We're lovers of science as Unitarian Universalists, at least those of us who among us who appreciate that process of discovery and evidence upon which it is based. When we hear about the consequences of the loss of Arctic ice, when we feel alarm about the reports about what's going to happen even if we go up 2 degrees in temperature on the Earth, when we consider the impact of rising seas, and perhaps take a moment to calculate if our home is going to be impacted by that, whether our beloved vistas, the oceanside parks that nourish our souls, will disappear forever while we move further inland. When we hear all of this bad news about climate change, it should inspire us to action, right? Now, I don't want to recount all the bad news that's out there. If you're paying attention at all, you know the frightening swirl of stories that we face as the atmosphere warms, or reported realities about the islands of plastic out in the Pacific, and modifications, chemicals on our strawberries, the genetic modifications of plants and animals that are more and more technologically intricate, and the effect of which we don't fully understand, and what all of the unintended consequences we can only imagine, sometimes with dread. Now, just a little aside, every few years I'm reminded of the Kurt Vonnegut novel, Cat's Cradle. Anybody else remember that? Right, so the basic storyline is that in a lab they find a way to create ice that doesn't melt, and then it escapes from the lab. The oceans become solid, along with rivers and streams. Now imagine losing all the water on Earth. You perhaps understand why it comes to mind. But my point is here, it should be easy for us to respond, to leap to the barricades, to shout those catchy chants about what we want and when, and to take action. It's not like we don't know, right? But what might be enough to do? It's this conundrum that brought the story from James Karsh to mind for me, when as a child he tries to figure out what the geese and ducks don't know. It's not because they are unanswerable questions, but because they raise larger questions about the certainties that come with being adults. We know where we are, but are we really so sure we aren't lost? Yeah, honestly, I'm not trying to depress you this morning. I know it does not seem clear that that's the case, given that litany. Remembering as we gather today in celebration of the sun and of our beloved earth, we should be filled with joy as we celebrate this planet, this home, our life, our sustenance. So let me say that to you this day, that this struggle of awareness and action is probably the most difficult spiritual challenge of our age. The struggle for awareness and action if a spiritual life is one in which we seek awareness, if a spiritual life is one which strives for integrity, then this challenge of awareness and action is the most difficult for our age and our place in the world. We cannot say that we don't know what's going on around us, only that we choose to forget it or to look the other way. Here's one thing I know. Anything we do is limited by the fact that we human beings are flawed, and the good we would, we too often do not. And here's another thing I know. We are able to find moments of grace recognizing our flawed humanity. And that phrase sums up what we can bless as we engage this spiritual challenge. Finding moments of grace amidst flawed humanity is what can save us from our despair, what saves us from becoming lost in what is overwhelming in our world. What we seek are those moments of grace that enable us to take action in the midst of our flawed condition, recognizing that simply existing in America with all of our privileges and all of our wasteful practices, it matters that we pay attention to what is possible. What can I do? How can I change my ways? How can I support what is best for the earth, what is best ultimately for me and all this beloved, flawed, and beautiful humanity that surrounds me all the time? How can I sustain the earth? I'll tell you, I am quite sure that I will not be saving the world this week. I won't be turning the tide on climate change, but I will keep on doing what I can. Keep tuning and turning my heart to what it means to live with integrity and care in these days that we're given. I will be turning and tuning my heart to make my life more healthy for me and for the planet. I will not be looking away. I will not be forgetting, not allowing my relief to cloud what I know is good and right and true and best for our world. And when I don't make it all the way, I never will, even so, I will be grateful each day and each new moment of possibility and hope when I can set my heart and my mind and my spirit on the work again. May it be so with us all. Amen.
Reverend Hart. Please rise in body or in spirit to sing our closing hymn, a favorite of all of ours, 1064, Blue Go Home, in our seal hymnal.
No, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls,
I never sing that without thinking about a member of the Tacoma congregation when I served there who sat in that seat every Sunday. And when we sang that, he was a man who loved the ocean, who always had a boat, had lived aboard boats and everything. And he would sing it. I'm trying not to step off the side, but he would close his eyes and cross his arms and sing it by heart every Sunday, and any Sunday that we sang it, and it was just always a pleasure to be singing it with him, as it was a pleasure to sing it with you. Our closing words are from my colleague Amy Zucker-Morgenstern, slightly adapted for the day. On this day, as we spin toward the equinox, let us bless the light and the dark as we extinguish our chalice. Do you want to go do that? Oh, you've got it. Cool. Blessed is the dark in which our dreams stir and are revealed. Blessed is the dark of the earth where seeds come to life. Blessed are the depths of the ocean where no light shimmers, the womb of earthly light. Blessed is the light into which we awake, the light that sparkles on the waters, that calls the tree forth from the seed, and calls the shadows forth from the tree. Blessed are we as we move through darkness and through light. So may it be.